You will have a still image where only the water moves. You will have clouds that drift while the mountains behind them stay frozen solid. And you will have a motion brush that you control with your thumb, not with a prompt. By the end of this episode, you will paint movement onto a frame and leave everything else untouched. No more hoping the AI reads your mind. No more regenerating 20 times because the sky started spinning. You will decide. The brush decides nothing. That is the promise. That is the tool. Runway Gen-4's Motion Brush does exactly this, and I will show you the exact workflow. If you have ever generated a video and watched the AI animate the wrong thing, this is for you. You spent 10 minutes writing a prompt like, waves crash on a beach, camera static. The result? The sand moved. The sky swirled. The rocks trembled like they had a fever. That problem is gone. The motion brush removes guesswork. You paint over the water, and only the water exists for the animation engine. This is for editors who need a clean plate. You shoot a product shot. You want the steam rising from a coffee cup, but the cup must not shift. Or you are a filmmaker with a locked-off shot of a forest. You want the leaves rustling, not the entire tree bending. This is for anyone who has wasted credits on generation after generation, praying for a subtle effect. You need control. You need to say this region moves, that region dies. The brush is a mask. It is a selective animation pass. It is the difference between a lucky guess and a deliberate choice. If you animate backgrounds for YouTube thumbnails, or if you make cinemagraphs for clients, this tool pays for itself in one session. You open a still image in Gen 4. You select Motion Brush from the tools. The first choice is brush size, and this matters more than you think. A large brush feels fast, but it bleeds into unwanted areas. A small brush is precise, but it takes many strokes. I start at 20% of the frame and zoom in. Why zoom? Because the brush respects edges only if you respect them. You paint the water surface, not the shoreline. You paint the upper half of a cloud, not the sky around it. The stroke is your commitment. After you paint, you set direction and strength. Direction is a vector arrow you drag. Strength is a number from 0 to 100. Start at 40. Why 40? Because higher values create warping artifacts. The engine interprets high strength as move a lot, and it will tear your image apart. 40 keeps motion fluid. This is the step everyone skips, and it is the step that ruins clips. Now you add a second brush region if you need it. You want rain and a flag moving? Paint the rain, then paint the flag. Each region gets its own vector. This is crucial for parallax. Separate regions do not fight each other. They move independently, and the engine calculates how they interact. The order of painting matters. Paint the background element first. Why? Because the engine anchors the frame to your first stroke. If you paint the foreground first, it treats that as primary motion and the background gets tugged along. That is a subtle rule, but it changes everything. Next, you set the duration. The brush works on a static frame, but you output a clip. I use 4 seconds for most tests. Shorter clips hold quality better. Longer clips show drift. The engine runs a diffusion pass on the painted region, frame by frame. This is why the unpainted area stays rock solid. It is not animated at all. It is a static plate. The brush region is the only thing with temporal motion. You preview before you render. Preview is a low-resolution pass, and it is your friend. You watch the water move. You adjust the strength down if it wobbles. You adjust the vector if it pushes sideways instead of forward. Then you render full resolution. The render takes about 40 seconds for a 4-second clip on a standard plan. You will see a progress bar, and you will see the final file export as an MP4. That file is your asset. Drop it into your edit, and you are done. I ran this on a real job last week. A client wanted a calm lake with a heron standing on a log. The heron must not move. The water must ripple gently. I generated a still frame at 2048 by 1152. I painted the water surface from the left third to the right third, excluding the log. Direction was a slight left to right drift, strength at 45. The render took 38 seconds. The output clip was 4 seconds, 140 megabytes, MP4 format. The water had a natural pulse, not a violent chop. The log and the heron were pixel-perfect identical to the still. I checked them side by side. Zero motion. The client asked if it was a photo with a water overlay. That is the result you want. Cost was 1 credit on my plan. Compare that to the old way, where I burned 5 credits trying to get a prompt right. This was cheaper, faster, and the output quality held up at full resolution with no visible compression in the moving areas. Here is the honest truth. The motion brush fails when you paint too much. If you cover 50% of the frame with a single stroke, the engine gets confused. It treats the boundary as a seam and creates a visible edge line. This is not a bug. It is a limitation of the diffusion model. It cannot blend a massive animated region into a static region without a transition artifact. The fix is smaller strokes and lower strength, but that means you spend more time. There is also a problem with fast motion. If you push strength past 75, the paint region smears. It looks like wet ink dragged across glass. The detail dissolves. Faces and text break immediately. Do not paint a face. Do not paint text. The model does not respect their structure under motion. It will smear eyes, warp letters, and ruin your shot. You should not use this. Anyone who needs realistic human movement. The brush is for organic textures. Water, smoke, leaves, fabric. It cannot handle a person walking. The motion is too complex, and the brush oversimplifies it into a slide. You will get a ghosting effect. The alternative is a full video model with a text prompt, which does handle people, but then you lose the static background control. The obvious competitor is Pika Labs. Their motion brush works on a similar principle. You paint a mask, you set a direction, you generate. Here is the situation where Pika wins. You have a long clip, 10 seconds or more. Gen-4 starts to drift around 6 seconds. The painted region slowly shifts its texture, and the static plate develops a subtle breathing effect. Pika holds stability longer. If your job requires a 10-second locked-off shot with gentle motion in one corner, Pika is your pick. Its output is also slightly smaller in file size, which helps if you are rendering for web use. But Pika's brush is less precise. It lacks the separate vector control per region, so you cannot have rain falling left and a flag waving right in the same frame. Gen-4 handles that in one pass. So the decision is simple. For a short, controlled, multi-direction shot, Gen-4 wins. For a long, single-direction ambient loop, Pika wins. Open Runway today. Import one still image. Paint a small region, set strength to 40, and render a 4-second preview. That is the step. This takes 5 minutes, and it costs 1 credit. You will see the difference between prompt-based luck and brush-based control. Try it on a lake shot or a cloud time-lapse. Camera control, pan, tilt, and zoom with precision.